There's a good way to spend your money and a bad way to spend your money. For all those people out there that are intelligent enough to know that they don't need TTL for everything. In fact, you don't need TTL for most things. Automatic mode, manual, perfectly suffices, especially for wireless. I'll actually see people on YouTube and other places recommending these cheap-ass. However, not cheap ultimately, since we're talking about like $130, $90, $150 for some of these cheap-ass flashes made in China that don't live very long. I mean, are you crazy? Let me give you a perfect analogy. Which would you rather buy? A 40-year-old Rolls Royce? Not 40-year-olds. Let's say, 25-year-old Rolls Royce for $5,000 or $6,000. Or for $5,000 or $6,000, one of those tiny little smart cars made, I don't know, Korea, wherever they beep beep. The little cars that look like a Matchbox toy. Beep beep. Which one do you think will last longer? That 25-year-old Rolls Royce with 100,000 miles on it, or that little smart car, beep beep, that's also $6,000. The answer is pretty obvious, isn't it? SB28, SB26, SB24 is a bit too old, however, perfectly fine. I've got over 40 Speedlights, okay? Most of them are not TTL, because I don't need TTL. There's some things that you do need TTL for. Most things you don't. A lot of people are totally... High-speed sync is incredibly useful. We all know that. We're not talking about high-speed sync here. We're talking about a speed light. Most things auto-suffices. You see that little hole right here on the front? That is an auto-sensor. Okay, you can actually set the ISO on this, and it'll actually quench the flash at a set amount of illumination to your subject. Sometimes, actually quite often, auto mode is not only as good as TTL, but sometimes even better than TTL. For every person that I actually put faith in, let's say Zach Arias, the guy that writes the Strobus blog, what's his name, David Hobby, they'll all tell you the same thing. There are a lot of TTL douchebags out there. Everybody thinks, oh my God, I got to have TTL. There's a reason for having high-speed sync. We're not talking about high-speed sync. We're talking about TTL. Oh my God, I have to have TTL. Really? It's a crutch. It's a baby diaper. It's training wheels. Unless you're a photojournalist or you're shooting action in a wedding where TTL is necessary, you don't need TTL, okay? So those people that are looking for dumb flashes to be triggered wirelessly, and they're like spending $130 on that cheap Chinese crap, let me tell you what you can get for $130. You can get some of these older speed lights like this SB28 Nikon Speedlight, SB24, SB26. You can get like 3 or 4. Depends on how you buy them. 3 or 4 of these things. These old flashes will outlive that cheap Chinese crap 99% of the time. Is that a bit hyperbolic? A little bit, but not really. Okay, so you can piss away your money on some cheap Chinese junk for $130, or you could buy like 3 or 4 of these. Made a lot better. Made in Japan. And even though they're used and they're old, remember that analogy I just got done making, like, a 25-year-old Rolls Royce versus a modern smart car? Beep, beep. Actually, a real analogy would be like a modern Ford. Americans make shitty cars. We do. Ford. We actually have gotten better. Started improving about 10 years ago. But about 10 years ago, like Ford and GM and Chrysler, man, talk about some really crappy vehicles. Just some real crap, It's like, ask me again, well, I'll never buy an American-made car. Ooh, you're a traitor. No, I love America. I hate the fact that America doesn't make anything anymore, and what we do make, most of it's pretty shitty. Ford and Chrysler and GM, that's outside of the analogy. But anyway, so if you want to spend your money wisely, get an old Nikon Speedlight. Get 3 or 4 of them instead of like a $130 piece of Chinese crap. And they are crap. If you actually crack one of those modern Speedlights open from China, you look inside of it, you don't even have to know anything about electronics to go, damn, this is some crap. They're horrible. They're just horrible. Yes, they are. So I'm all about saving money, and that's the way to save money, okay? Think smarter. Work smarter. Don't work harder.